What's up, guys? Welcome back to another post-trade analysis. I took two trades today. I took one loss and one win. You can see here that I made about $3,059. First trade I lost 950. The second trade I won just over 4,000. So let's get into the analysis here. So you can see coming into the day, we had filled this weekly gap from last week. We have these lows that are resting. You can also see that there's a 4-hour bearish for value gap right here that I might want to see if price wants to come and tap into that, depending on what the lower time frame structures are showing. But yeah, if we drop to the hourly, you can see that there's not a whole lot going on. Price is kind of just chilling out in this area. There is this London high right here, and there's also Asia high. And so these being stacked makes me, a little bit more bullish than bearish, just because, you have these lows down here, but if London and Asia are both stacked and there's this 4-hour gap and 1-hour gap, 1-hour gap, right? There could be a possibility for price to come back and tap into these areas. So, if we drop to the 15, another thing to note going into open was there's this bullish 15-minute gap. And so I want to see if this bullish 15-minute gap wants to hold. And if it holds, then, maybe we'll be able to target something to take these highs. So let me mark this real quick. Yeah, now we are there's this bearish gap too, but that's fine. Now, the other thing to note is that price doesn't have to come up and take these highs. So I just want to kind of look at what price gives me and then react off of that. So you can see coming into open, this is what the 5-minute structure looks like, sort of some accumulation going on. We're resting in a 5-minute bullish gap that's also about the same as the 15-minute gap. There's a bearish gap here, there's a bearish gap here. So I want to see some movement to, in my opinion, potentially take it long. But yeah, let's just drop here real quick and see what's happening. So you can see this low in the 15-minute gap along with all three of these lows gets taken, and so if we go after open, you can see that price takes this internal high, takes this high that we put in, and there also is news at 8:45. So in terms of going long, this could be a sweep, right? An internal form of an internal sweep, and then we could go and sweep this high that got put in, and then we could go look for longs in this direction. But this is an interesting trade because obviously we didn't sweep anything like this. It was more just a weaker form of liquidity. But how I thought about it was once we swept this, I want to see if we push above this to get a change in the state of delivery to then go long, or I want to see if we want to come down and potentially either sweep this or respect the consequent encroachment of this wick, which would be the 50% of this wick. Keep in mind, right after this news, there's a bullish 5-minute gap that gets respected, and we also tap back into this 15-minute gap and respect that as well. So if this wants to go up, I would probably wait for a change in the state of delivery here, and then what I would do is once we take this high out, I'd just be hesitant with my my stop loss, but you can see that price kind of chops around, and then boom, we get a close above this. So now this is my first entry, because as much as we might come down, I don't want to miss the move, because if we do go up and we just explode, I want to be able to catch this whole move instead of miss out potentially, because again, it is 8:52 and we're in macro, so there's a chance that price could move on this. But you can see that we kind of come up and then immediately I get stopped out for 5 minutes later. So it happens. That's the first entry that I took, and that's the loss. But I'm still remaining pretty bullish, because once again, we're still holding this 5-minute gap. we're still, in a zone of consolidation. So I want to see if price wants to provide any structure for me to take a long, or if it wants to continue to just chop around, or maybe, sweep a low out. So I want to basically just wait, because the other thing, if you remember me talking about, is this whole week, this whole wick, um, can be respected. And what consequent encroachment is essentially, if there's a big wick or a big manipulation wick, if price respects the 50% range of that wick, there's a good chance that you can use that in correlation with other factors to take a direction of a trade. And if it doesn't get respected, then you can expect that wick to get taken. So again, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. Kind of just waiting to see what's going to happen. We end up sweeping this. I ended up putting this low in, sweeping this low, so we're still in this 50% range of this candle. And immediately we get two big closes to get us that change in state of delivery. Now, some consider this a change in state of delivery, some don't. I personally, if I like the move, I'll take it, even if it doesn't technically close after or beyond that candle open. But so we get our change, we get our sweep. We're in the 5-minute gap. That's everything I need to see in order to take a long to Asia highs. So, I'm waiting, and then boom, that happens. So I take an entry, and basically immediately we go and we sweep this high. So now at this point, once we sweep this, I move my stop to break even here, because I don't want to see this come back. I want to just see this continue to run. So we're pushing up. I'm continuing to monitor my stop, to, just make sure I can exit at the right point. We also have all of these liquidity levels that are low resistance liquidity. So most of the time, if you're targeting in the right direction, all of these will get swept at the same time. And you can see that we swept this one, and pretty soon after that, we sweep this one as well. So price continuing to go up. I think at this point, I had moved my stop to this gap and then this gap, because a fair value gap constitutes the 3 candles. So I moved it to the wick lows for each gap. But essentially, we kind of just, came up. I think we chopped around for a little bit. My stop was, I believe, right here. Just giving some room for price to kind of rebalance a little bit. And then you can see we kind of came up and swept out that high. So yeah. And yeah, once this trade hit full TP, I'm done for the day. Made about 4.2 R in this trade, lost 1 R on the first trade. So that equates to just over 3 grand on the day. Great trade, love to see it. Beautiful price action, coming sweeping the internal low and then displacing upwards. Respecting all of the gaps and the smaller pieces. So yeah, I mean, you really love to see it. Great end to the week. Not sure if I'm gonna trade tomorrow. I just requested a payout, so if they don't approve that tomorrow, I won't be able to trade because my account is locked. But overall, very nice. Was able to come back since the deficit last week. Obviously not a good week, but yeah, great day, great week. Love to see it. Might get an informational video or 2 out to you guys this weekend if I can find some time. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe. If not, have a nice day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.